Good day, everyone. I'm here with my partner, Shonell Allen, and today we're going to be doing our presentation for our business, One-to-One Learn to Win. Okay, so the company we will be developing a BDMS for is called One-to-One Learn to Win. It is a new business that is expected to open in 5 months, and it requires a database to track all of its necessary business functions. The business is an after-school tutorial center and currently has no effective way to track its data.
The one-to-one learn-to-win database will be the official database for use by the after-school tutorial center and will be used to effectively and efficiently manage operations and records, which include the staff, students, departments, equipment, books, and schedule. It will be the database used by both the owner and support staff to ensure that student and class data is properly recorded. This data will serve as a critical role in the overall running of the business.
The goal of our project is to create a database that will allow the after-school tutorial center to provide professional service and information to its clients. The main function of the database is to register and schedule students and staff information and to retrieve this information as required in a fast, user-friendly, and cost-effective manner.
This will ensure that the after-school tutorial center spends less time on paper-based records, and it will also ensure that the database will provide the security of the data entered into the database at every level of the user system interaction and ensures a robust, reliable storage and backup facilities. The one-to-one learn-to-one database will require usernames and passwords for accessibility. So here we have some of our business rules. Each student may register for one or more classes. Each student's personal information must be recorded. Each student is required to have an emergency contact. Each student is allowed to register for one or more subjects. Each staff member must teach one or more classes. Each staff member must provide 2 or more classes each week. Each student must pay all fees at the beginning of each semester, and each staff member must be paid at the end of each month.
Reports and queries. Retrieve student by name, retrieve staff by name, search for staff by email, search for student by address, search for students in a class via subject, display students who have paid semester fees, display students who have not paid fees, display staff salary, show student via student ID, show staff via staff ID, show student email list.
Right, so here we have our ERD table. We can see the table name, attribute, description, data type, constraints, and the keys for each of our entities. So you will see the student list, the student ID, the first name, the last name, the address, the phone number, and the email. For the staff list, we have the staff ID, the first name, last name, address, phone number, and email. And for the class schedule, we have the class ID, the class lecturer, and the class time. All of the constraints and the keys to indicate whether they have primary key or not is also listed, as well as the data types. Just to continue, there's also the subject. And for the subject, there will be the subject name, which has the start time, end time, and the staff salary, which has the staff name, the salary, and the payment status, and the student payment, which indicates if the student has paid and their tuition amount. Here we have the ERD diagram or the logical diagram for our database. We can see the student payment, the student list, class schedule, subject, staff list, and staff salary, as well as all of the relationships between them indicated by the arrows. And now we'll be moving on to our database itself. So here we are on our database. So here you can see the design view for our class, where you see the class ID, the student ID, the staff ID, the class lecturer, the class time, and the subject, with descriptions and data types listed for each of them. And we also made it such that if you press the arrow or the plus key here, you can see the students who are in each of the classes. Here now we have the staff, where you can see each of the field names here, the staff ID, the title of the lecturer, their first name, last name, address, phone number, email, and salary. And we have all of it listed here. Here we have the students, the list of the students, where we have the student ID, the first name, last name, address, emergency contact of each student, the email of each student, their payment status, and their class ID. And here, lastly, we have the subject, which is just simply a list of all the subject names, their start time, and their end time.
So the first query we'll be doing is to retrieve the staff by their first name. So the name that we'll be typing is Joel. And as you can see, we were able to retrieve their staff ID, last name, address, phone number, email, and their salary. The next query will be to retrieve the student by their first name. And the name that we'll be using is Jack. And same as the staff member, for the student, we were able to retrieve their student ID, last name, address, email, emergency contact, and payment status and class ID. So now we're going to search for staff by their email address. So the email address we'll be searching for is misschambers1@yahoo.com. And with the email address, we were able to retrieve the teacher, Miss Khadija Chambers, her staff ID, address, and phone number and salary. Now we're going to search for the staff with their staff IDs. And we're going to type in the ID 3104. And we were able to pull up the teacher, Matt Jackson, his address, phone number, email, and salary. Now we're going to search for the students via their address, and we're going to search for Arima. And we were able to locate all the students that are located in Arima. Now we're going to search for the students by their ID, and we're going to type 111. And we're able to pull up James St. Joseph and his information. Now we're going to search for students by subject. So we're going to search for math. And we're able to pull up all the students that are registered for the math class. Now this is a list of students who have not yet paid for their semester fees and all of their information. So now this is the list of students who have paid the semester fees so far and the information on which classes they're registered to. So this is a list of all the staff and their current salaries. And for our last query, we have the student email list and all the student name and all of their emails.
And this brings us to the end of our presentation. I hope it was easily understandable by all of you all.